I'm excited to get started. I'm sure you're excited to get started. So let's just go ahead and welcome them onto the show. How's it going, Scott and Becca?
It's going great.
Great. Thanks for having us. We're so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you as well. You're both great friends of the show, so I'm excited to get to watch you get to interact with some guests today. We've got almost all new guests this time, so going to be a lot of fun, fresh voices to work with. So yeah, if y'all are ready, I'll let you go ahead and take over.
All right. Thanks for your help. We really appreciate it. How are you doing today, Becca?
I'm doing great, Scott.
I mean, how do you feel that a year ago we were guests, just authors promoting Massillon Against the World, and now we're hosting?
It's pretty incredible. I'm excited to hear these authors and everything.
I know. And one of the things they're doing this year, maybe people don't know, is they're asking the authors to tone down the self-promoting. They're going to put things in the chat because when an author gets overexcited about promoting their book,
especially with their picture on it.
Yeah, it just gets to be too much. Why can't people be subtle about promoting their stuff? You know what I'm saying?
Scott, we already won.
Oh, that's right. We did win that award, didn't we?
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Well, then I guess there's no reason to do any of this. Let's bring out the first guest.
Yeah, so I'm excited about this first guest, Kay McCoy, author of Doves Cry, and it's all you.
I know. It's excited.
She loved it.
I think you're ready to give a masterclass on promotion. That was really good.
You think? I mean, yeah. I don't know. I want to tone it down is the idea.
It's something with the blazer, too, that just makes it feel even more profesh. I love it.
Once you wear a blazer, you have everything. Okay? And you've got scribble on your shirt?
Yes. This is a actual reading community that I'm a part of, which is why I'm happy to be here. I love engaging with readers like this, so I couldn't pass up the opportunity to join you guys today.
I'm so glad you're here. Please tell us about A Dove's Cry. And what if I wanted to have a drink while I had this book?
I am so glad you asked, because that is exactly what I came here to do today, to talk to you only about A Dove's Cry, and I have a drink. So I have two, actually. Let's start. For those of you that may not need spirits when you drink, I personally like to have a glass after a long day. So I have here, first you need a glass, and this was back in quarantine era, so it says quarantine and chill, and inside, instead of ice cubes, I have strawberries because they're in season, and they're honestly one of my favorite berries. So,
are they frozen?
With that,
are they frozen strawberries?
Well, they were frozen, but now they're a little bit midway through, so once you finish the drink, you can actually enjoy the strawberries without hurting your teeth.
Okay.
Yeah. And then with that, you have sparkling water. So I decided to get the lime because, again, I love refreshing drinks. And I think lime is one of those drinks that you just go to. And this is what I have when I actually started writing A Dove's Cry, because at the time it was under quarantine and I couldn't go out and actually get any adult beverages. So I had a lot of this, and it's really cute. You see the little fuzzy bubbles, and give you a little AMSR. There you go. So once I was able to escape and go outside after quarantine, I was able to actually get my favorite drink, wine. So here I have another glass, and it's the wine, because really self-care, that was what the time era was. And again, for those of you that want spirits, I have a little bit of wine, and you just add this to your drink. So you literally have two in one. If you don't drink, the mocktail is okay. And if you do, just a little, because I have to work in the morning. So, yeah, we have just a little splash.
I love
just a splash. Just a little splash. That might have been a little splash.
I did mention I had to work tomorrow, right? And tomorrow is a Sunday. So I need a little splash, just a little.
A little.
And that's my drink. Yeah.
And
so
how
two in
one. To A Dove's Cry?
In A Dove's Cry, I have two characters that obviously
fall. We'll all have a drink.
Salute. Yeah.
Mhm.
So in A Dove's Cry, I have two characters, unlikely characters actually. One loves her wine, and the other one doesn't drink at all. So that is how they meet. They meet in a very unlikely place, and while they're there, they kind of cross paths, but not really. And then afterwards, there's a bit of an altercation where the main male character steps in, and she doesn't think anything of this guy until she sees him later at her new job.
Oh.
So there's a lot of hijinks, and they really get to know each other, and they celebrate Valentine's Day and then New Year's Eve together. And it's really sweet. And she teases him a little bit about not being a drinker in this movie, or this book, I should say.
And like,
One day, maybe a
so,
movie, one day.
yeah, I like that thought. Does it have anything to do with Prince? Because when I hear A Dove's Cry, I think of Prince.
Oh, I love that. Unfortunately, no, there's no Prince references in this, and I didn't think about that when I wrote this because I was actually, again, in quarantine. So I didn't even make that connection until I think a year after the book was published, and a lot of my friends said, "Oh, that's such a cool Prince reference," and I said, "I'm sorry." I did not make the connection at all.
What was it like to I got to write my first book last year too, and it was pretty awesome. How did it feel, you said that your debut novel, like what was that like? Like you finished, you worked on it through quarantine. So what was that like for you?
Honestly, it was the most exciting and nerve-wracking thing I had done to date, and I mean to date, like, it was my baby, and it was my first novel going out into the world, so it's like you're getting your kid ready for, like, the first day of school. It's like, "Okay, don't forget to smile and share and be nice," and I basically kinda put it out there, and it's like, "Okay, here you are, readers, I hope you like it," and people did. So, yeah, it was a whirlwind. At first, I thought I wasn't ready, and then I got closer to it, and I started sharing it with my friends, and they're like, "You should publish it, get it out there." I'm like, "Okay," and they just kinda went out and did it. So, yeah, it was very nerve-wracking, but still to this day, one of the most exciting things I've ever done.
What's some feedback that you've gotten that has really meant something to you? Have you had
Yeah.
feedback yet?
I have, actually. The first thing was mainly kind of critique because at the time it was my first novel and I didn't know what genre it fell under, and I thought it was a romance. I still do think it's a romance, but I had some very, very avid readers tell me that in fact it is not a romance, it's a literary fiction. So that was my first feedback. But then I had a stranger comment on my book and say how it opened her to a world of possibilities with that unlikely person that she always kind of wanted to approach but never did. And she said that it was also a love story. So I feel validated when I saw that comment. Like, thank you. I knew it was a love story, but I was still new, so I didn't judge it and I didn't like
Oh,
really
I
push.
mean, maybe this is showing my ignorance, but what is literary fiction? Like what genre does
Just
that mean?
general That's the thing. I had no idea. I just assumed, okay, literary fiction is just general fiction. It's not a real story, is what I gathered. Because when I said that it was a romance, a lot of the romance readers came back and said, "You didn't follow the formula. You can't call this a romance." And I said,
Yeah.
"Okay, what can I call it?"
There's a format for romance?
Oh, yeah. There are tons of formulas, like, depending on the romance read that you have, and you have to be very mindful of that because readers will let you know, like, "We liked your story, but you did not label that correctly. Try again." And I tried again until I got it right.
No, I would not think
I wouldn't
that
think
at all.
I wouldn't
Like,
think that either.
why would
Yeah.
you want to read a formula? Like, you want
Well,
something
it's n
to teach you this
well,
way. And
it's the formula, but how do you get there? It's the journey, so to speak. That's the same reason why people like watching Hallmark movies or Lifetime movies. They know what they're watching, but they wanna see it acted out. So, I try to give the readers what they want, and I don't question too much about anything else. Just, "Okay, we have an agreement. I tell the story, you read it, and then you tell me what you think, and I try again."
oh my gosh, your spirit is coming through so bright,
Yes, we love you.
and
Aw,
you're just
thank
like
you, thank you.
um, I don't know if they're labeling you as literary fiction or romance, but I'm
Yeah,
all for it.
me
Uh,
too.
tell us, um, give us something that readers would get from your book that you think really matters.
I think the main thing that I hope readers get from this story is that love comes in many different ways. And the first act of love is to be selfless and to be honest and true to yourself. Because that's what happens at the end, which is why I still think it's a love story. But that's what I would hope that my readers get from reading this book.
That is so beautiful. I
I
also
love
agree that love is selfish, right?
It really is.
Selfish, right?
No, selfless.
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 Oh.
Less, less. That last part is very important.
Oh.
Because then you can end up in another romance genre with the selfish part. That leans towards something else.
Yeah,
So,
I would think so too.
All right.
but nice try.
Thank you so much. Where can we find your book?
Oh, well, you can find all of my books now over at my website, which is www.authorkmccoy.com.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry.
All right. That was so much fun. That's a good start.
Yeah, I love
But
that.
I think the drink should come through. I don't think it's fair.
Those are like 3D.
So yeah, next, who do we have next?
Taryn Collins. She's a wellness educator and the author of Mindful Adventures for the Family series. And she's going to demonstrate kind of like what she talks about. And I'm like really excited because I'm an educator. So I'm hoping this is something that I can take back to my teachers. So welcome.
Awesome. Always wonderful to connect with educators. And this will be me passing this on to you, into your room. So it'll be a little more 3D.
I love it. So tell us a little bit about Mindful Adventures for the Family.
Yeah, so it's a 3-part series. And the first book, Dinosaurs Have Big Feelings Too, is a wonderful, like, intergenerational learning opportunity to learn specifically the finger holds to manage emotions. So that's the wellness tool I wanted to impart because it's so wonderful for self-regulation for all ages. And it's just a joyful, funny way to bring in some deep feelings that we're all having right now.
Awesome. So are you going to demonstrate for us, I believe?
Yeah, I would love to. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So the most important thing is to be comfortable wherever you are so you can make any little adjustments. You're welcome to close your eyes, but I will be showing you how to hold your fingers as well.
My eyes, I'm sorry. Okay.
So here's the 3-dimensional learning here. So the first part you're going to do is you're going to wrap each finger when I tell you, like your hand is giving it a little hug, but then you can relax your hands back down into your lap or wherever's comfortable for you. The key part here is if it's too light of a pressure, you won't feel any pulse. And if you're squeezing too hard, you don't want to hurt yourself. So finding a nice medium pressure, and we're going to start with the thumb and taking a moment. This is the thumb, which we can all relate to self-soothe ourselves. You've seen a lot of little kids sucking their thumbs. And when we're feeling moments of sadness or grief, this is a wonderful finger to just take a nice breath in with me and a nice long exhale out. And one more time, just a nice breath in and a nice long exhale out. And just bring to heart something that makes you smile. Being here with you is sure doing that for me today. So the next finger, holding the index finger here. And again, some of these fingers, you're going to start to feel like a stronger pulse. And kids can feel that pulse within 30 seconds. Adults might need 2 to 5 minutes to find that. So close the eyes if you like. This is this emotion of feeling a lack of control of things. And this is such a time right now in our life where we feel things are totally out of control. But this finger specifically is an important one because it moves all the way up into the amygdala, which is the fear center. So as we take a moment to ground ourselves, to feel safe in the environment that you're in now. And again, take a breath in with me when you're ready. And a nice long exhale out. And we are in control of some things like this next breath. Feeling grateful for that. And moving to, the kids love it when we hold the middle finger. You can probably imagine what emotion we're talking about here. So again, a medium pressure here. And it's really easy to feel resentful about things, impatient, frustrated. And what we're talking about here in this protocol is not to suppress the emotions, but to prevent it from going to rage, to violence, to where the nervous system really overreacts in a way that's unhealthy for ourselves and for others. So this finger, you might feel a strong pulse. Just pause for a moment. See if you feel that. Now let's take one more breath together. Nice long exhale out. And moving to the ring finger, again, an important emotion, anxiety and worry. I work with a lot of kids that this is the first time they're really learning the term anxiety, and we all feel worried or nervous about things. So oftentimes this is the finger I'll teach prior to like an assessment test or to teach kids for performance anxiety, and even adults dealing with mental health issues. So let's just once again hold the ring finger with me for a moment more. Notice if you feel that pulse. As things change around us, unpredictability, let's give ourselves a smile, noticing just what it feels like to be in community, to be together in this moment, that we're not alone. And we're going to move to the pinky finger. Again, nice medium pressure. Last but not least, that emotion of lack of self-esteem, unworthiness, even helplessness. And just take a moment to feel all of the amazing attributes that you bring to this world, what makes you unique and special, and really smile and honor that, and really truly how awesome you are. Taking one more breath in together, and a nice long exhale out. And maybe as you rest your hands, relax, open the eyes if they've been closed. We start to move that practice as a great example of kind of just whatever you're feeling, moving out of that emotional brain, back into our body, back into the present moment. And it's such a simple little pocket practice. It can be done when we're dysregulated ourselves. Anytime, like my favorite time is at the dentist. There's not much you can do. Visiting someone in hospital. I think you all could find ways that you could weave that in, whether you're in traffic, whether you're just so in your mind, like the writers here who are listening to you, when you're kind of in a writer's block and you're trying to kind of just get out of overthinking, how to be more present. So there's a lot of ways that you could weave this into your life.
I thought that was amazing, and I really look forward to trying to use it with some of our kids and see how it works out. So thank
what
you.
age range would you say that would work for?
Yeah, so I've been teaching adults for 20 years. So this is something like that's so easy to incorporate in a very quick practice for all ages. Why I specifically did the book series for younger kids, which are more, I would say, 3 to 10 years old. That's the storyline because it's all rhyming and playful. They actually really inspired me because their response to these practices were phenomenal. Their toolkit is limited, right, of how to regulate. whether they're having trouble sleeping, whether they're having nightmares, before you go to mom and dad, what are some things that you can do?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I didn't feel the pulse. Do we think I'm dead?
Yes, you might be in the 5-minute category, Scott.
The whole 5 minutes. He said, I
Yeah.
got mine within 30
Did you?
seconed. Yeah.
Well, you're a little kid. I really couldn't. I mean, I was squeezing it. I didn't feel anything.
Well, maybe you were doing it too hard. You know, try it again. What's great is this is all you really need. And maybe you'll find a time when you're feeling a little overwhelmed or stressed in the near future
A lot of
that
people
you could
say
give it a
I'm
try.
smart, and maybe we just proved that I
You
don't.
just proved it. You just Well, thank you so much for being on with us today. And I appreciate you demonstrating for us. And I hope that our listeners out there enjoyed that, because that was a great demonstration.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Scott.
Have
Thank
a good day. So next up, we have Diane Floyd Bain.
Yeah.
Okay. She's an author of children's books too, which I'm excited about. Boomer the Curious Bunny. Well, she's going to invite us to embrace imagination through Boomer's eyes, discuss Boomer's origin story, and she's going to read to us, which I'm really excited.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and I love this news story. So, yay!
Hey! Oh, he sings. Awesome. So where did, you said, embrace the imagination. So where did Boomers come from? What's the origin?
So wonderful question. I used to live very close to a lot of trails, and I'd wake up early in the morning and go for walks. And I realized there was this bunny that was always there. So I tried to always be around at the same time. And then I just started watching him. And before I knew it, a story came.
Oh, so there's a, what do you call that?
Connectivity, I would say.
Connectivity. And I like to say to everyone to live in the moment, to unplug and listen to the birds and be like Boomer. And so the story, you see everything through Boomer's eyes. So everything's low. So, because they can't reach up like adults. And so that's kind of fun. And it's free. And I used to teach. And so with young kids, I get them to imagine what it's like to see things at a lower level. And so when he sees a kiddo's paws, shoes, he goes, "Oh, those are funny paws," and the kids all laugh.
That is true. That is true. What age group would you say that this book is geared towards?
I always like to say all my books are ageless, especially when our parents are reading it, because you can have so much fun with them. But it's written for preschool through second grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! They love it. Can you tell I love to sing? I'm very expressive.
You said you were a teacher. What did you teach?
I started off with a preschool, kinder, third and fourth grade classroom. And then I was that strange teacher that learned how to use a computer. I taught myself. And then I started training teachers around the world on how to implement technology in the classroom.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
My mom was like, "I'm done." I'm not learning this. That's awesome.
Yeah. So are you going to read us something?
Yeah. So you ready?
We're ready.
Okay. So it's the first in the series of Boomer Sees the Town. And it's just excerpts. So it's not in order. Boomer discovered a full garden of flowers. His small pink nose wiggled with delight over the different smells. Leaning forward, he took a bite and he chewed happily. These are yummy for my tummy. While Boomer jumped along, he heard a strange noise. His ears perked up. What is that sound? The little Boomer wondered. The little bunny hopped along the garden path, and before he knew it, water was shooting up from the ground. It's raining. How can it be? Boomer quickly hopped out of the sprinklers to see what he could see. And children always laugh at that because they know it's a sprinkler, but Boomer doesn't, And Boomer, he saw a puppy who barked at him. He did not know that the puppy wanted to play, so he quickly hopped away to see what he could see. And that's how kids can interact, because I'll stop if I'm reading to them and I'll say, to see, and they'll go, to see what he could see. And so parents really enjoy that too. He hopped on a log and he saw some leaves floating in the water, and then he spotted a turtle. The little bunny crossed the bridge, and before long, he spotted humans. And Boomer giggled. Boy, people have funny-looking paws. Boomer continued on, and Boomer saw another bunny, and he ran toward it until suddenly he hit something hard. He shook his head. What happened? And then the little bunny burst into laughter. Oh, that's just me. Still giggling, Boomer looked up and he spotted some birds. Watching them fly away, the little bunny missed home. How do I find my way back home? And so it continues on. And in the story, the kiddos, Boomer has to remember how to get back home. And so he has to do a recall. And as you know, as an educator, that's really awesome. And for the parents, helping the kids too, to retain that memory of what they saw. So there's a lot of educational things you can take out of the story, besides having fun.
Yeah. So I taught kindergarten before I became an administrator. And so I love how like you describe what he's seeing, and especially like, you know, how it's interesting how you went paws instead of feet. Like when you first wrote it, did you catch yourself calling it feet, or did you call it paw? I mean, I just caught that kind of stuff in there that, you know,
I automatically wrote paws because I put myself, I pretended I was Boomer.
That was good too. So what made you like want to write, you know, educational books, you know, like this that are descriptive, and then you can go back and ask questions to kids as you're reading them?
Well, I've always been a storyteller, and I decided I wanted to put some of my stories on paper. Actually, I'll tell you a secret. I decided that my kids were growing up and they were going to get married and have kids one day, and they weren't going to care what I had to say. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to write some stories with some lessons in it. And then when they're like, the kid goes, I want grandma's book. And I'm like, yes.
I'm going to make note of that.
And that's what's happening.
How did you handle the illustrations? Did you do them, or did you hire someone, or how does that work?
Yes, that's a great question too. I have a wonderful illustrator from the Philippines, which I used to live in the Philippines, by the way. And he, Suri Al-Sadin, is just a master at understanding different authors and their spirit. And he captured Boomer beautifully and just really brought him to life.
How did you get connected? Did you get connected because you lived in the Philippines, or how did you get connected with an illustrator from the Philippines? That's interesting.
Yeah, my publisher knew him. So, and it just was by coincidence that he was in the Philippines. I go, oh, he speaks Tagalog. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you have a whole series? How many books are in the series for Boomer?
3 books are about to come out. I have 5 written. And so hopefully Boomer will really take off and everybody will fall in love with this cute little bunny. I would show you a picture, but the background has green in it. So it wouldn't look too good.
Yeah.
But he's really cute.
Yeah.
And eventually Boomer is going to have a nemesis, Fox the Millennial. Is that how it works?
Well, actually, Boomer's going to go to school. So some cute little things are going to happen. So
I love a series like that. That's like super exciting to like see it happen. And how old are your grandkids?
I just have one right now. The others need to get busy, I guess.
You're ready.
Yeah, when they're ready. He's 4. Excuse me.
I said you need the sales, so you need.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, I have 5 brothers, so they're producing a bunch of grandkids for me.
That's great. If someone was going to start off being a kindergarten teacher this week, what advice would you give them?
Oh, excellent. I would say take a deep breath and be patient and listen and love every moment because you're going to learn from those kiddos.
Oh, that's so
Oh, I love
beautiful.
that. That was
It
amazing.
just makes me want to. I'm holding my finger.
You're holding your fingers. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. That was really beautiful, and we
Yes.
can't wait to see the trouble that Boomer gets into next.
We love
Thank you so much.
on, Diane.
Thank you.
That was incredible.
Yeah, I love that. Like,
Yeah.
that was like so. I love that she like wrote it for her grandkids like, to teach them a story. That's something.
Yeah.
That's something like you would do.
Nah, I don't want to talk to my grandkids. So next we have Atusa Raisin, who's going to come on here.
Wait a minute. How did you do? How did you do
That's good. That's how I'm
I was
going.
trying to do it.
I did
You
pretty good.
did excellent.
Oh,
I mean-
You did excellent.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on. That's all the time.
That's it. Thank you. Can I do a self promotion before you kick me out?
It's only if it's on a shirt.
It's a-
We have rules here.
Oh,
So you did a book called Change Yourself, Change the World, which I absolutely love the title immediately because I honestly believe that that's how we change the world, is being the person that we want to be. Tell me a little bit about your book.
well, the book started out because of my work with my clients. And like you said, I was seeing all these people come to me, and as they're shifting, as they're changing, they're coming back and saying, you know, their families are changing, their friends are changing. So that, well, even it worked. And I know that to be true in my own life. So I was wondering, like, what can I do to bring this work that I do with my clients out into the world more, so to bring more change? And that's exactly what I did. I took my own life experiences, the tools that I learned that I was using with my clients, and put it in a book with my own experience, with my own life story, mixed it all up, and here it is.
So when you say your clients, are you a life coach, or what clients do you have?
I do past trauma healing and spiritual mentorship. So most of my clients actually are for past trauma healing sessions.
And one of the things that you talked about is pushing fear away. And I think this is so interesting. First of all, I got to ask you, have you ever seen the movie Defending Your Life?
No, I have to put it down.
So you should watch Defending Your Life. It's an Albert Brooks movie. It's from 1991. And the whole thing is about what happens when you live your life by fear. That was the first thing I saw. But so ignore that question then. Tell me the dangers of fear and how it seeps into us.
So fear, we grew up, even as the young kids, like for me, I noticed that when I was older, you know, at this age, I look back and it was like I had PTSD at age 4 with all the things that was happening to me, around me. I grew up in Iran, and I went through, at that point, you know, my parents were divorced. And then a little after that, add on the revolution, a little bit later, add on the war. So can you imagine like being a kid in that environment? And back then people didn't talk to little kids and explain what's going on. So it's just like, I'm getting all this information. So it was like fear overdrive. And so I took that fear and other experiences that didn't help that fear, and I created all these sort of boundaries. And that's what happens with fear. We try to protect ourselves, and because we don't feel safe, we don't feel loved, we don't feel accepted. And all of that makes us not actually receive all those things that we want. You know, people say, you know, I want love. Well, to receive love, you got to open up. And if you're afraid and you're closed, how can you receive love? It has to like seep in, find cracks to get to you. So that's the biggest danger of fear, is that all those things that you want, fear works against it.
So what do you tell someone when they are open and they're giving that out, but they don't get something back? Because I think that's the interesting thing about, my big thing is kindness, and I preach kindness all the time. My thing is be kind whether kindness comes back to you, but I think it can be hard for some people. So when you have a client that's like, I'm trying and it's not happening.
I take them through series of work, because what's happened is that we live our life in these characters. Those characters are attached to outcomes. They want things. Either they want things or they want things not to happen. And those attachments make you live not here. You're either living in the past or you're living in the future. But if you live in the moment, and in that moment you're open, it's not about giving or receiving anymore because it happens naturally. You're kind, and your kindness comes from your heart. It's your natural state of being. But what I talk about in this book and in my talks is that all that fear and that those things that happen, just like me, you build these characters, you build these personas around that you walk into, let's say, with your friends. You have a different personality because you might be more relaxed and open, and you can interact with them in a different way. You're different with your parents. You're different at work. So all those environments make those characters more fearful and not receiving. But if you're open and in the moment and not worried about what you're getting or not getting, in that moment, the flow happens.
I love that. Tell me about magic. You say that you want choosing magic, and I'm very interested in magic. I don't know if I believe it or not believe it, but I want to believe it. So give me something that makes me believe.
Yeah.
Makes you believe. Magic, to me, it's every day around you. You just have to be open to receive it. Some of my magical stories, actually, it's like the one that's popping up in my head is my first day of my retreat last year. I went in, and first day, my Achilles fully ruptured. And yeah, the first hour. And it was interesting because before that, I had asked somebody to come to do a photo shoot. And right before we were leaving, I told her, I said, I think you're going to help me. This message is coming that you're going to help me. And when this happened, because she's a healer as well, I said, okay, now I see. And everything flowed like that. Those are little magic. And like you go and you want something and it appears right there. A car comes by and has the tag on it that reminds you of someone that you were just thinking about. If you're open to seeing it, it's just all around you. It doesn't need to be big things. It can be little things.
Okay. So it's kind of like synchronicities, right? That's what you're looking for.
It is. To me, magic is that. And magic is also just going out and being in nature. Those little things like a butterfly comes and sits on you. Why not? That's magic. So magic is anything that makes you believe there is another way of communicating with the world.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how did you turn this into a book?
I pretty much self-published it. Like I said, it's my poems in there, some of Rumi poems, and started writing my own story and weaved in all the experiences and then put the practical exercises in there as well.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Exercises. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of practical exercises at the end of the book. And throughout the book, I mean, I talk about things, but then at the end, I wrap it up so people can have like a summary in the back.
So as we wrap up, could you give me like an example of a practical exercise?
Sure. Love and gratitude is one of the practices in there. And love and gratitude for your body. And you take 5 body parts that you can see with your eyes and 5 body parts that are inside. And the inside ones are easy to say love you, you love them because you don't judge it. But outside, usually people judge things. So pick the body parts that you're not judging. And you can say, for example, if you really love your eyes, I love my eyes. Thank you for letting me see this world. I love my fingernail. Thank you for letting me scratch myself. And, so all those things, it can be those things. And then like, even on the inside, you can have more fun because we don't have half a clue what the organs are doing. Like for me, it's like, I love you, my pancreas. I have no clue what you do, but I'm happy you're doing the work that you're supposed to be doing. Thank you, my gallbladder. I love you. I don't know what you do, but I'm sure you're doing a great job. So doing that makes you even feel more self-love for yourself and for others.
Well, I absolutely love that. So thank you for coming on and giving us a glimpse into your book and into your world. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I am right now appreciating my lower intestine. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So I love that. Like
I know.
I love my heart.
We're learning we've got all kinds of things.
Yeah.
We are learning today.
Stress, love yourself. Yes. Boomer, I love this all. So next we have Newton Van Riel, award-winning author of The Soul Sisters. Hey, sister, soul sister. I love that.
Hey, Soul Sisters. Yeah, that's me. I'm Newton Van Riel.
I love it. And going to highlight the power of being unique and the value of acceptance in our changing world. And as an educator, I can tell you, everybody's changing.
You know what? I think there needs to be more love going on. And for me, the Soul Sisters Go to School is the second book of the Soul Sisters series. And it's really taken me places where I thought I wouldn't go because my wife is retired. I'm 60 years old. I'm an empty nester.
You look amazing. You're 60 years old.
I am 60 years old.
He's lying.
Yes. Well, I'm pulling out the gray hairs as we but the importance of the book for me was, I've always loved poetry. Always loved poetry. Ever since I was a kid, spoken word, all that. Mm-hmm. And then I got married, had kids, put everything down, and I became a corporate fundraiser for 30 years. I'm still doing that. During a certain time when, the pandemic, I was staying home. I decided to actually start writing again. And I had this vision of these two girls, one black, one white, adopted and viewing each other as twins. And so I spoke to a friend of mine, Monique Robrandt, who's the illustrator. And I said to her, I have this idea. And so we sat down and we developed the first book about 2 years ago, The Adventures of the Soul Sisters. And it's a journey of two girls, Dawn and Charm Spirit, in Toronto. That's where I live. And it's really about them viewing each other as twins while the world around them says, you can't be twins. You're black, you're white. And they create their own language. They create their own way of doing things, and they dress the same. So the world around them kind of laughs and says, you guys are kind of weird. And the reason why I use the word weird, because, growing up, I guess I was a bit of a geek. I loved books. I loved I love that poetry thing. And it maybe wasn't that popular in my neighborhood. But I wanted the Soul Sisters to represent being unique, accepting who they are, and being good with it, even when the world has views where they say, oh, they're weird and everything. So for me, it's really about the importance of accepting the diversity and the beauty of it. And it's taken me to do many podcasts. I've done even a play just north of Toronto where I sat in an old church. I read the first book and I had two actresses, one played Dawn and one played Charm. So the book itself, and it's of course won the Diversity Award BookFest, which is really cool. But overall, it's really about accepting people. And the main reason I wrote it was that sometimes you have to find something that combats hate, and that's love. And the love of the Soul Sisters for each other, and the love of the community. In the second book, I include soul brothers. I include Raj. I include Big Jim. I include a community. Because at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want a community, right? You want people who can connect. And of course, because you're adopted, I discuss the issue of adoption. This book is for ages 9 to 12. But it actually has everyone. Anytime I speak to somebody, they're young, they'll say, yeah, I can relate to this. When they're an adult, we've always felt like a fish out of water. I actually wrote in the beginning of the book, to all the fish that swim upstream, this is for you.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that's really good.
So as a kid who is adopted, and my parents got me the book, Why Am I Adopted? I grew up with that book. Why did you choose adoption? Because it's not prevalent, I guess I would say. So what made you go with that kind of flow?
You know what made me go with that flow? And it goes back to a good friend of mine I grew up with. Maybe it wasn't the adoption theme. It was more about the fact that people can connect. I knew a friend that I still know now, a big Chinese guy. We grew up together. We hung out all the time. He was like a twin, but we didn't look like twins. So it was really about that. And also, I know some people who are adopted, and I know there are challenges that they face. So I actually spoke to Adoption Toronto to really get input before I even wrote the book, to make sure it was done in a sensitive, respectful way, and that certain terminologies were used, that didn't belittle anybody that's gone through the adoption process. But for me, it was just, I think I wanted to make them unique, and even the twin aspect is unique, because people look at them and go, well, you can't be twins. And then in the Soul Sisters Go to School, I bring in the school dynamic, the dynamic of maybe a bit of bullying, of the dynamic of people laughing at them. And the Soul Sisters just go, hey, they did a play and people were saying, oh, what are they doing? And they go, no, and they said they had a great time. And then Don says, did you have a great time? And Sharma said, yeah, we had a great time. So it's really about the connection of people in a time when maybe people should break bread more. One of my favorite words is grace. And grace is important for me because even at work, when I'm writing my email, I end it with grace. And they think my name is Grace. I say, no, I don't actually look like a Grace, but the reality is that what I'm saying is that it's good to treat people on an equal level. If it's at work, it's an equal level. If it's with family, because both of my wife and my kids are our kids are my son's a robotics engineer, my daughter's a biologist. She's engaged. But unlike the other author, I'm waiting to be a grandfather, and
yeah,
I don't think it's gonna happen in the near future. But I'm crossing fingers. And we're proud of them, and I've been married for 34 years now. Where this is the perfect time for me to do this, and I have a few more books in my head, and poetry, which is my first love. In the book, there's poetry mixed within the actual book itself. So,
and did the Soul Sisters write poetry, or there's poetry in the prose?
There's poetry in the prose. It flows. I have the storyline. I wanted it to be that way, and actually with support from my illustrator. My illustrator was also my confidant. In other words, when we did the illustrations, I do the words, and we go back and forth. And I always say to anybody, I would never go to another illustrator other than Monique Brent, and she's just amazing. And she also, in the community where I live, just east of Toronto, Canada, she's in a band. She does artwork. She actually did a painting of my wife for her 50th birthday. So there's a relationship. And in the world I work in public relations, relationships are everything. Building good relationships mean that you create a bond. And in the diverse world that we live in, I grew up, Toronto is the second most diverse city on earth. It's good to connect with people who may not look like you, who may have different views than you, and have good conversations. So that's the theme of the Soul Sisters as they move on in their life and as they grow older. So I have a couple more books probably on the docket in my head, maybe as a retirement plan when as I move towards that. But I've been doing, like I said, public relations and corporate fundraising for 30 years now. So I'm more comfortable in the promotions part, a bit of imposter syndrome with the author.
Well, Newton, I just loved hearing about this, and I love the adoption aspect of it, and the fact that we have two kids that we've taken in, and So people, my daughter's always like, that's my brother. And they're like, what? So
Oh,
I
wow.
love that you're writing books like this. I love the name Soul Sisters. I love the whole concept. So thank you for being kind. And, thank you for being kind. And then I love that you went with talk to the adoption agencies. And I love that you did that research on that. So thank you so much. And thanks for coming on tonight. And I look forward to checking your book out.
Yeah, and I'll just say, Grace.
Yes. Have a great to you too. Have a great day. Thank you for inviting me. I truly appreciate this.
Thank you, Newton. I love that.
I know.
Like,
It did really seem like it was your life.
It was.
You know?
It is. Yeah. It's very similar to my life.
It did seem very similar.
I love that.
It's very cool.
I can't wait to check it out. So now we have.
So now we have John Polisano, who is a Bram Stoker award-winning author. Congratulations on that. That has done a space horror. So this is interesting to me all the way. You know, I love sci-fi, and we're going to get to your book. I'll say the title. It's Requiem, because we got to get that out there. But what is your favorite Star Trek?
How do you know like Star Trek?
Because he's writing about space.
Oh, okay.
As far as like what series or
yeah, which series?
I mean, I've got to go with the classic, but I mean, I also Deep Space Nine. I loved. You know, I loved Next Generation. Of course I loved. So yeah, I love the new ones that they've been doing. Have been pretty awesome. So I'll tell you this much: as a Star Trek person, my parents used to take me to Trek convention when I was a little kid in the 70s. So I met a lot of them when I was a little boy. So, and they had me dressed up. There's somewhere pictures of mortified mini John dressed in a little kid Star Trek outfit, you know, meeting Sulu and everybody. So
yeah, but if you met Sulu, that's pretty awesome. I met Leonard Nimoy and then a bunch of the Next Generation cast, but I never met Sulu. So that's already better.
I don't even know.
Yeah. Get out. And unfortunately, the correct answer is Next Generation is the best Star Trek.
Well, I mean, can you get better as a captain? I mean, Patrick Stewart. I mean, you can't.
Make it so, my friend. So
absolutely.
You have space and horror, which I think is interesting. It also leads me directly to the movie Aliens. Is that an influence on your book?
It was a big influence on me in a big way, and definitely on the book because we have a final girl in the book named Ava, and it's very. She's her own thing. She's not like Ripley. But when I was a kid growing up, it was Star Trek and Star Wars and Grease, and we went to a drive-in, and I'll never forget it. We watched Demon Seed, which was boring until the end when the little robot kid came out, and then it was Alien, and I have never been the same since. It totally freaked me out and scared me, but I loved the artistry. I loved the creativity and the fear. I thought Ripley reminded me of my mom, which I thought was the coolest thing in the world.
Wow.
I was like, my mom is like Ripley and she's going to kill the alien, you know? And so it was really a huge movie for me.
Is your protagonist a female?
Yeah, she's a female named Ava. Yeah.
I mean, that's so cool. I mean, I do think that the importance of Ripley as a character coming out of 80s movies. I mean, Sigourney Weaver was just so badass. Yeah. And just everything about her, to have that happen in the 80s is incredible. Now, with Buffy and Veronica Mars and, it's happened a lot. But it mattered so much back in the day. So how did you develop your female protagonist?
Well, Ava just kind of, it's a story about grief. And it's actually a love story about loss. And I would consider this not really horror. I consider Requiem space gothic. So there's unrequited love. There's a haunted a mansion and a satellite that is actually a cemetery that's floating in space. And she goes up to this satellite because they were on another mission and Roland went missing. I don't want to give away too much of the book, but he went missing. So she wants to go back up there and try to reconnect with him. And, we have 5 people on an abandoned cemetery in space. Absolutely nothing can go wrong. It's very peaceful, very chill. It's playing the violin, and, like Patrick Stewart, it's really cool. So no, nothing at all bad happens. But anyway, so yeah, she was developed out of that. Her and Roland were kind of developed as, kind of co-protagonists in a way. So it's interesting. It really follows a Gothic kind of storytelling tropes throughout. When you read the book, so
do you want to read us a little excerpt?
Yeah, I have a very short excerpt that I have prepared.
Ooh,
And
I'm
here is the book. This is an ARC. The actual one is going to be a hardcover, and it's got a wraparound and foil covering and all that. They tell me.
Wow, you got foil covering? That's pretty impressive. I don't know how to do that. So
me neither. So I will have hard copies next month if anyone's coming to the LA Times Festival of Books.
Oh, I'm glad you're going to that. It's a great event. Desiree and them put on a wonderful job. I'm glad you're going to that. You'll have so much fun.
Yeah. So we're going to start in chapter 5. Okay. And we're going to meet Ken Lee. So Ken is actually going into one of the chambers because he's heard a strange noise. So we're on the Eden satellite. 15 March, 2112. The requiem drowns out Ken's scream. The clear casket suspension fluid splashes his hand and arm. He looks up toward the top of the chamber and spots the telltale crack in the lower right corner of the clear coffin. That's where it leaked from, he thought. Drops of the light blue fluid gather along the slight fault line, rolling toward the edge before falling. He dodges out of the way, but it's too late. He's already got enough of the stuff on him. Is this what happened before? Are the caskets failing? This was supposed to have been fixed. It's the same piece of music Eden airs for all it's interred, he recognizes. Still the old one. Tess is still working on her new version of this. And beyond the casket, he glances at Earth, hovering hundreds of thousands of miles away. The music plays louder, filling the chamber. It won't be long until the little particles inside do their job, slowly unmaking him. So that's the excerpt.
Are you doing an audio book? Because you really read that.
Yeah, I was like, I would listen to the audiobook.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I know they have plans to do one. I don't know if it'll be me reading it. I know Flame Tree's got their whole audio thing, but thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you did a really good job.
Yeah.
So when you're having a story like this, do you have it worked out from the get-go, or did something happen along the way that surprised you?
Oh, lots surprised me. I always work with an outline. I write an outline out pretty extensively, and invariably every time I work on something, it goes halfway through, things start changing. The characters do things I don't expect and go, oh yeah, I really did want to see what's behind that door, with the growling noise. Wait, what? That's not in the outline. But yeah, I always kind of start with that just so I have some kind of a map to get me in trouble with, and then just get you on the road with that.
Yeah,
So,
I did one of those like horror tests, like you can take, could you survive a horror movie? I always survive because I never go where it's creepy. I just go the other way. Do you hear it? You said he heard a noise, so he goes to follow it. Why? You're in space. Why would you go follow it?
right.
On the other way.
That's their job because, on the Eden, they've had some issues with the coffins cracking and things not working. So they're up there to try to troubleshoot and instill confidence in the public who are supposed to be paying to have their loved ones interred up there. So they're like, what's going on? Why are these things breaking? Why is
blue? What's the blue goo?
Right.
Yeah, like that. I was like, that's what he said.
I understand.
I was like, that cannot be good.
No, it's not.
Yeah, the goo should never be blue. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, I was like,
especially in outer space, because anything that's like a fluorescent color in outer space, it's like fly the other direction at light speed. Get in the Millennium Falcon and get Chewie and go, because that's not going to end up well. Speaking of space horror, another big influence with me in space horror is you'll remember this in Star Trek II, the earworm that they put into Chekhov when Khan. Oh my God, that's still like to this day. I'm so freaked out about ears because of that.
Yeah, when he puts the helmet on Paul Winfield, it's going in. It's horrible.
Right.
I was 12 years old when I saw that. It scared the bejeebas out of me.
I was like, this Khan guy, this is not Fantasy Island anymore. There was no
plane to plane. I totally agree with you. And to be sure that no sci-fi thing is left unturned, do you have a favorite Doctor?
Oh, come on. It's got to go. Oh, man. I'm going to go with DeForest Kelley. I'll go back because I just love the classic. I mean, you can't get better than Bones, that saucy, angry, guy with a heart of gold.
Okay.
How about you?
It would be the Doctor from Voyager.
Oh, okay.
Name the Doctor. It used to be Crusher, but I just finished Voyager for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. And the Doctor was my favorite character.
Oh, wow. Well, good stuff all around. I don't think you can go wrong with any of it.
I know. Do you like us nerding out, Becca?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
She loves to make fun of me for this.
But I do love John. I can't wait to check out your book. I can't wait to see the foil and see when it's all done. And I hope you get an audio, because I thought you sounded really good. So thanks for being on today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, you should tell them you should read it. I always think it's better when the author reads the audiobook. So
okay, I'm going to send them this recording.
We said it, so we know what we're doing.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right.
All right, now that you've nerded out,
I know.
maybe we can get back to look at our next person. You love the 90s.
I know, it's the 90s. So what could we have? Candace McAfee. I'm gonna guess it's McAfee.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Candace McPhee. It's close. Close. It's good.
All right, that was perfect. And an author after my heart. Got the website right up there.
Yeah.
Like, you see what I'm saying? And so yours is Back in a Year series, which I love. And these are messy backpacking adventures in the 90s, which I think was the best decade. I love everything about the 90s. So I'm totally into it.
Good.
So how many, it says it's a series. How many books do you have?
Well, there's 5 books in the series, and I'm just about to publish the 3rd one. So they all started, it was originally supposed to be 1. Once I got into all the words and being able to describe, my goal was really, I wanted people to take the trip. I wanted people to be able to really sink into the 90s, sink into the sweaty days and no internet, having to walk everywhere, find a phone booth to organize yourself. I wanted everyone to experience that time period as well as the trip. So in order to do that, it took a few more words than I had originally anticipated. But each book can be read on its own, and it spins up its own adventure around an area of the world, and then you get another area of the world and another area of the world.
And are these true stories or this is fiction?
It's all true, and it's kind of embarrassing. And I did enjoy your previous guy, John, because I really related with the nerd conversation you guys were having, because I'm a bit of a nerd at heart as well. So I made a lot of mistakes and had a lot of interesting interactions from a cultural perspective. Even in England, when I started out, I started working in England. And I didn't know the difference at the time of pants and pants, like our pants versus their pants is very different. And I was at work and I said, I just dropped my black pants at the dry cleaner. And the woman I worked with was English, and she went, "Oh, what do you mean?" And I said, "What are you freaking out about? It's weird." Like I said, they're my favorite. I always drop them. So I brought them the next day and I held them up and I said, "Here's my pants, Polly. You were really crazy about them." And she goes, "Oh my God, I thought you meant underpants." Like pants. That's what they call pants. So many times. I know.
What do they call what we call pants?
Trousers.
Oh, that's right. I've heard that.
So think back to how your grandmother talked when she said, "Oh, can I pass me my handbag?" Because they would say handbag because a purse is a wallet. So yeah. So if I said to someone, "Pass my purse," they unzipped my purse and went in and got my wallet and passed my wallet, because to them that's a purse. So
wow, good thing you didn't ask him to pass your pants.
Yes, pass me my pants. That would have been a good thing to do. Yeah.
Where are some other countries that you backpack through in your series? I'm just curious because I lived in Thailand, so I just love.
Did you? Oh, okay. Well, I didn't get to Asia, and there's a little bit of story behind that. But so I bought an around the world airline ticket from London, and my first stop was Russia, and I went through Russia and all through the Baltics, through Poland and sort of through Europe, and then to Croatia, and then from there I went to the Middle East, and that's that's pretty much book 3 is the Middle East, Jordan, Israel, Egypt. And then I did Africa. So I went down to Nairobi and I did a 6-week safari with a bunch of strangers. And let me tell you, when you travel with people from England, Australia and New Zealand, they are curry mad. Like, someone made an egg curry. I didn't even realize you could do like all the variations that happened with curry, but there was a lot of curry variants that happened on this trip because everyone takes turns cooking on this overland safari. And then I went through South Africa, Australia, and then back around again. So
I think you need to go over to Asia so you can have book 6.
I know. It was supposed to be in the plan, but sometimes plans change. So, and that's sort of what the whole book's about. So, yeah.
Well, if everyone has to cook,
yeah.
How are there grocery stores? Like, how I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be like, I can make. No, she's an app. She's
right.
You're like,
right. So I know, right? So on the safari, you get on this big. It's like a big converted Mack truck, and then they have tent flaps on the side. And I had never camped in my life. Like, I did not know in this brochure, which I booked this safari because in London I went to a random person's house, and in the basement they had like a VHS, and they put it in the machine and they played it, and I went, wow, okay, that looks pretty cool. I'm gonna do that trip. I had no idea who these people were. I just booked it. I'm like, I'm in. So I show up, and it's on this converted truck, and it's camping. And I've literally camped for 3 days in my whole life. I don't even know how to put up a tent. I'd come from Cairo, and I read the brochure, and it said, there'll be some bush camping, so you need to bring some wipes. And I'm like, isn't all camping in the bush? Like,
right.
Aren't you outside all the time? I didn't get it, but the only wipes I could get were these rose-scented wipes. And I thought, okay, well, that's all I got. So I bought them, got on the plane, got to Nairobi, and oh my word, it was 27 people living in this whole truck, and it was a whole community, and just these 6 weeks of ebbing and flowing with different personalities. And you'd stop at the grocery store to answer your cooking question, and then the guide, who was this very not great person, anyways, they would go in and buy a bunch of food, and then we'd be cook groups, so there'd be 3 people, and you would have to cook dinner. Everyone would take a rotation on cooking, and you'd kind of just do the whole, like, open the pantry and see, okay, what's up there. And yeah, so it's where I know. And the thing was, I making toast on a stove. It was somebody's birthday, and I made a chocolate cake in like an open oven at this place in Malawi. Like, I was there in my bathing suit making a cake just beside the truck. It was just this really crazy, wonderful adventure filled with all kinds of ups and downs. And I went whitewater rafting on the Zambezi River and just had this crazy time. So what's in these books is this whole adventure of just a really honest account of my interactions with people, the influences I have with people in terms of how they've impacted me and how much I changed. I had come off a pretty bad personal experience. My mom died when I was quite young, and this was my moment to kind of open up and really dig in and figure out, like, who am I? What do I want to be? And just figured it all out on the road, and it was pretty fun.
Was it hard to go back to real life after having an experience like that?
Yeah, I never really went back to real life. I think my life was just different after. I never wanted the same things I did before, and I had completely different values. There wasn't as many, there was just the things I thought were important weren't important. And the things that were important to me, they really were important to me. And it was just a better life.
Well, I am very intrigued, and I hope that our listeners are intrigued too, because that sounds like super fascinating. And I thank you for coming on today.
I know, it's really impressive, and I love this idea. I've not heard of a series like this before, so congratulations on a really creative new idea, I feel like.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. It was wonderful.
Great, and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
You too.
Okay.
And make me dinner.
Make you dinner.
Make me a cake. Why can't I?
I don't think you would be very good at that because you're not good at baking cookies.
I did do fine. I did fine. But I don't know if, like, in the safari, I could DoorDash something. That's what I'm wondering.
I know.
I'd be like, it's going to be...
I thought she was going to say, we have to grab ostrich eggs and run for our lives.
Right. I didn't know if she was going to ride a elephant or something.
Yeah.
It was that sounds like a very interesting
I want to read
book.
books. That sounds good. Well, I'm excited about our next author, Sarah McDavis. She's a children's author. We love this.
Yeah.
Octopi. Like, it's such a great title. We were like,
thank you.
this. Like,
I
this
know.
is
This
so
is the
amazing.
best title.
Yes. And it's like,
Thanks.
we're going to share tips and tools to encourage kids to be readers and stay curious. Wow. How did you come up with this title? Mind blowing.
Yeah, that was one of those moments that was just like, oh, the muse is talking. I should listen. Like that. Yeah. One of those that I'm just really glad that I wrote down in the middle of the night when I woke up, just didn't say, oh, I'll remember it.
In the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah. Sometimes like I'll just have like, I wake up a lot because my kids move around and I'm a very light sleeper. So one day I was just up and I was like, you know what? I think I know what her name is now. Like, because I had figured out the character. I knew I wanted her to be a detective. Because octopuses are so incredibly smart and they love to do puzzles and fix things and stuff. But her name didn't come to me for a little while. Took a while, and just kind of one night, just there it was. Octopi, she's ready to go.
So do you like mysteries? Like, why did you choose to go with like mysteries? Like, what made you shift to mysteries instead of just like a kid, like a kid's book?
Yeah, I like the octopus love solving puzzles, and mysteries are just another puzzle to solve. And really writing the series is going to be a series of 8 when I'm done because they have 8 arms, which made sense. I thought.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Pressure for 8 books, though.
Yeah, she's gonna have a lot to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So 8 books. So that's a lot.
I know. How many are done?
The first one is out now, and the second one comes out in June.
Oh wow! And so you got 6 more to go.
Yes, the third, fourth, and fifth are drafted, so they're in revision stages, which is.
So are you in the ocean? Does the octopus come out of the ocean? Like.
Yeah, so I like to explain. Have you ever seen Finding Dory?
Yes.
Kind of like that's kind of how I envision the space that they live in. It's called the ZARNAR, which is an acronym for the Zoological and Aquatic Rehabilitation and Research Center. So we just call it the ZARNAR because the other one is a mouthful. Yeah. But it's basically a big zoo, and she, unlike an actual octopus, does get out and move around and leaves her tank, which real octopuses can't do for very long at all. But it's just a couple things of fiction in there.
Yeah. What was the fascination? Well, I know what made you go with an octopus? I mean, the ocean has a variety of animals, obviously sea creatures and stuff in it. So what made you choose the octopus?
They are absolutely fascinating to me. I've always really kind of been drawn to them. They're weird. People don't understand them. They're really smart. So I felt like a kindred spirit with an octopus. And they just, the more and more and more that I learned about them, I just have never been bored.
And it says you have some tools to encourage kids to be readers.
Yes. Yeah. So my book's for kids 7 to 10, which is really the age when kids are picking up books on their own to choose to read. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes they can get stuck or things can get, yes, we have readers that are amazing and love to read, but then there's those ones that sometimes get stuck on things. And one thing that I love to share is called the 5-finger rule. So if you have your kid pick up a book and read through, open to any page and read through the page. And every time they come up to a word that they don't understand, they put a finger up. And the idea is if you have 5 fingers up, that's probably too hard and you want to try a different book. And so there's a different sliding scale. And part of that is that if they get to a book that they have 1 or 2 fingers up, even 3, they're going to be able to be successful in reading it. And that can be a huge hurdle for some kids, because it can get really difficult if you're reading something and you're just like, well, I don't get this and I don't get this. Like, it's just really frustrating. So having something that they already know they can get through can take that pressure off really fast.
So do you have an education background, or, I mean, because that was pretty like specific, like I'm an educator, so I kind of hear that, like, you know, the 5-finger rule, like how did, what's the background?
So I have 4 kids of my own, and one of them has had some difficulties with written words. And so that was one of the things that we learned early on that we've used all of the time.
That's awesome.
That is really cool. And how did you handle your illustrations?
Oh, yeah.
So when we were all closed in together, I started drawing again, which I hadn't done in a very, very long time. I'd always thought of myself as a writer. Even growing up, that was something that I felt pretty natural doing. But while we were all closed in, I kind of started illustrating and writing, and I started making these little mini zines. I don't know if you can see that or not, but they're little books made out of just 1 sheet of paper. So you take a sheet of paper and fold it up, and it turns into a little booklet. Yeah. And I got sucked in and kind of just really started loving those, and I haven't stopped since. And because they were so small, it really felt easy to, just like kids reading, like if getting them started on something and then you get hooked and you just can't stop doing it.
I love that, little books. Well, tell me also about your earrings, because, you know, I had to ask exclamation, question mark, like, what's going on?
Yeah, I love fun earrings. I have a whole bunch of different writing ones. I have like Miss Frizzle ones, like Disney characters.
I love Frizzle.
Yeah, I really like a big earring. Something fun and exciting. Just like to have fun.
Yeah, I like it. And if someone has a question, you can turn this way, and if you're going to yell at them, you turn that way. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah,
the kid
I'm ready for anything.
What you're going to give them.
Yeah, that's so true.
Which is the thing.
Exactly.
I mean, what about me writing a theme song for Octopi? You know what I mean? I mean, we need one.
Oh, definitely. Yes. I think she needs a whole lot of things, and I've got a lot of things in the work, but it's taken a minute, but a theme song definitely.
Yeah. I mean, we need some fun theme song, kind of like the theme to Get Smart or Peter Gunn, or, you know, one of those old fashioned detective series.
Yep, that's actually when I was working on this. I watched a lot of film noir when I was just getting into what I wanted the world to look like. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, this is
Inspector Gadget.
Yeah,
we can like that with Octopi.
Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome. What is your favorite characteristic of Octopi?
Ooh, she's very similar to me in a lot of ways. One of which is that she takes color-coded notes. And every time I take notes on anything, there are multiple different colors on the page that mean different things to me and would mean nothing to anyone else. But that's something that she's acquired of mine. And with 8 arms, she can have 7 different pens anytime. So it makes it easy.
I love that, because even as an educator, if you're reading that book, you know, like, if she's using colors, maybe we don't understand why, but like, for example, you've got red, yellow, blue, whatever your colors are. That's incorporating another educational thing. I love that.
We're learning so much about all of it.
Speaking of colors and octopuses, one thing that I've found fascinating and just recently learned is, so we know that they can camouflage and they can kind of look like anything around them, but scientists have recently learned they're also colorblind. So they have no idea how these octopuses are like blending into their environment so well. They're amazing.
I have learned so much from you today. It's been so exciting.
But how did anyone find out that they were colorblind?
They asked them?
They did.
I mean, like,
I saw his head turning like,
they're just,
how did they know?
Yeah. And they were like, I can't see that. I can't see that.
That might be a PI. That might be book 7.
It might have to come in. Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for being on, Sarah. Have a blessed day. And
thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I knew you were going to come up with a.
Well, I'm just saying.
Like, did they put
how,
colors in front of them?
And how do they know? Maybe it was hiding. I don't
Yeah.
understand what's going on.
Yeah. So now, next up, Tony, is it
Jacobson.
Jacobson? Okay. He's a speaker, coach, author of Advice to Be Unbreakable. I love this. 3 powerful ways to display your disability and become unbreakable. I love mental toughness. I can't wait to hear from you, Tony.
Let's do it. Let's do it. It's so exciting to be here. It's so good to meet you too. How are you today?
We're doing great. Doing great.
So what kind of coach are you?
I am an adaptive fitness coach. And so, yeah, because I have a disability, and through my story of really disabling my disability and learning how to get and stay healthy with my disability, and it inspired me to start helping others do the same. So I became a certified personal trainer, and then through that, an adaptive fitness coach. And I really, have been doing it now for, about 8 years. And I've got online clients. I train people all around the world, and it's just an awesome thing to see people getting moving despite their limitations.
How did you come up with the hashtag unbreakable? I love that.
Yeah, hashtag unbreakable. Well, I have a disability. It's called osteogenesis imperfecta. Go ahead and say that 5 times fast. I'll wait.
You're
No, you don't have to.
Unbreakable.
Right, that's easier. Osteogenesis imperfecta is basically brittle bones. So I've broken, about 75-ish times in my life. I've had 12 surgeries. I have metal rods in my bones, the whole works. And so, for me, I've broken so much, but I've learned that being unbreakable isn't about not breaking. It's about how you respond to those broken moments in life. So that's how hashtag unbreakable came to be. And, the hashtag is because I really wanted it to be recognizable and discoverable, right? Because that's what the hashtag's all about. And then it's just all in caps because it's powerful, and it's important to remember that we all have the ability to be unbreakable at any moment.
So I love this, disable your disability. So I actually started at my school wheelchair basketball, and I coached the rolling Tigers. So
Nice.
actually this morning we had a track meet, and I had a roller, and a couple other rollers were there too. They call their disability their superpower. So I love that you have this. So what was you share 3 ways to do that. What are your 3 ways that to become this unbreakable that to share with others?
Well, first of all, it's awesome that you've got the wheelchair basketball system going down. I love it. I love it. Any adaptive fitness is good. And so basically, here's the 3 ways that I've come up with. And this is really combining some ideas that are from both books, Disable Your Disability and Advice to Be Unbreakable. First of all, dealing with any sort of disability or limitation, you really have to embrace it. And I think that's the main thing, is to understand you have to embrace whatever is going on for you, but you can't let it define you, right? So it really is through that process. Like for me personally, I spent so many years denying my disability because it's kind of like an invisible disability. So for me, I was really kind of denying it, suffering through all the consequences of it. And it wasn't until I actually embraced everything about myself that I was able to then kind of redefine my life and rewrite the narrative of what I was experiencing in life. So I didn't let it define me at that moment. I didn't let it stop me. I just learned how to really integrate it into my life to, start to do new things, start to own my own story. So I think that's the first step. Then the second step is to understand that movement is medicine, right? And no matter where you're at, no matter what you feel your abilities are, movement is so important for anybody with a disability or anybody with a physical limitation. And a lot of times when people have disabilities, I think we kind of get stuck in feeling that we can't be any healthier than what our disability defines. And so I did the exact opposite of what my disability was trying to tell me because I have brittle bones. So working out, exercising, lifting weights, that's the complete opposite of what you would expect from somebody with brittle bones. But I understood that I needed to, push past my limits, understand that I could be healthier than what my disability was trying to dictate. And I think we all have that. We all have our own, I like to call it the personal peak performance. And so you have to find your personal peak performance, no matter what your limitation may be. And that comes through movement. And it's not just exercising, it's any movement. So I'm a big encourager of that. And then the third thing, it really comes from my book, Advice to Be Unbreakable, and that's really about building resilience. And so building resilience, it really takes the same thing that exercise takes. It takes reps, right? You got to do reps. You got to do things to build resilience. So for me, it was doing a lot of personal development. It was a lot of reading. It was a lot of journaling. It was a lot of learning how to get in touch with my emotional intelligence, right? Build up my emotional intelligence. So it takes a lot of that inner work too, so that you can build up that resilience, because it takes time, it takes effort, and you have to really, do all of it together and combined. So those are the three things that I really advise people to do to disable their disabilities and really, start to be unbreakable.
So did people try to stop you when you have this brittle bones, and then your thing is, I'm going to lift weights, I'm going to move forward? Was everyone telling you don't do it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing, and I talk about this in my book too, is the words "be careful." So I grew up like thinking that was my last name, like Tony, be careful, Tony, be careful, Tony, be careful. Like that's all I heard. So I literally had that seared in my mind going into adulthood, and so no matter what I would go to do, I would always have "be careful," so it would stop me from doing things. So when I started to decided to get healthier and I knew I needed to do it, I went and hired a personal trainer. And what did everybody tell me? Be careful, right? So, but I couldn't be careful anymore. Like at that point, I realized that, those words and what people were trying to tell me, and again, what people were trying to dictate for me, I needed to rethink that and rewrite that story for myself and really kind of push myself and learn about my body more, learn what the disability meant to me emotionally and physically. And then I was able to really start to push myself in more ways. There were a few people, in my life that knew I could do more than I thought I could do. Like my wife, she's always been a big proponent of me pushing myself past my boundaries. And I didn't want to hear it for a long time. But, once I did get through my own stuff, I realized, there are things that I can do that I didn't think I could do before. So, I was always told that I got to be careful, don't do that. And, I don't really listen to that anymore.
I love that. How do you, you've listed that, but how did you build that resilience? Like, what's like some example that you can give us? Because I just feel like I'm working with kids and, some adults that have these abilities. Like it's hard for them if they get taken backwards or they go backwards. How do you build that?
Well, the number one thing that I like to encourage people to do is really always focus on what you can do instead of what you can't do. Because with a disability, there's a huge list of things we can't do. And so people naturally will tend to go to that first. But we have to start to just look at the things that we can do, make that list for ourselves, and always focus on that no matter what. So anytime we get, we take a step back, we always just focus on what we can do, and we really lean into that. And then we put all of our power into the things that we can do. And then the second thing is always have the people that have the right support system. You got to surround yourself with people that will encourage you and motivate you and really have your best interests at heart and really encourage you to do new things and push past your own boundaries. Because otherwise, unfortunately, within the disability community, it's easy to get into a pity party. And so I always say, don't invite me to those parties. I don't want those invitations. I will turn them down. I'm sorry, because I don't live there. I'm very much about staying positive and surrounding myself with people that feel the same. And I know will push me to get past my boundaries as well.
Well, I will be looking for your hashtag Unbreakable. I'm going to be using your 3 in my coaching myself. So I thank you for coming on tonight and talking about building resilience and embracing. So that was phenomenal. And thank you so much.
And I got to ask you, are you more, you like the Bruce Willis character or the Samuel L. Jackson character?
It's funny because that movie there's a lot of contention in my community about that movie, and about and about Sam Jackson and how he was portrayed in that movie. I like it because it got the osteogenesis imperfecta into the world, right? But I feel definitely I'm more of the Bruce Willis character now. And OIers are not villains. Let me just put that out there. We are the superheroes. We are the ones that are going to come and save the world.
Well, thank you, Tony. Have a great night.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, that was phenomenal.
I know.
I like enjoyed this. Like these were great authors. Like I like took notes. They're, you know,
we
wow.
learned everything. I mean, I still don't have a pulse. So if we could get a 911 or something in here. I mean, it's been a while. I don't understand.
It's been a while. But I loved all the adventures we went on. I loved what everybody talked about. I mean, wow. Ending with Unbreakable, starting the way we started. I think
yeah, Kay had such a spirit.
Yeah, she had just the great spirit. And then we ended with a great spirit. I don't think you could ask for anything more.
Honestly, I was delaying coming on because how do you follow that?
Yeah, I think he was trying to throw us under the bus.
Right. No, that was really good. Yeah, I was like, y'all handle it. I'm
the point and the importance of writing and creating art is that it's positivity. No one came on and talked about negative things and things you can't do. Everything is positive and love and openness, and that's really what we all need right now, and always, not even right now, just always.
Yeah, I have to say, I think this is maybe the best lineup that we've ever had. This was a great episode, and y'all were great hosts. So thank you. I want to make sure to give you an opportunity to talk about your work as well. So can y'all just tell us a little bit more about the work that you've got out there and how people can find out more about you?
Well, he's got more stuff out than me, so I'll let him talk.
My newest book is called Always Music in the Air. It's about the music of Twin Peaks and is, become a tribute to David Lynch, who recently passed away. And if people have been watching this all day, we talked about the art life with David Lynch. So that book comes out in June, and I'll be in Chicago from April 11th through April 20th hosting a David Lynch Film Fest and interviewing the DPs and directors and writers and actors and all kind of people for 10 long days and selling the book. It's going to be kind of crazy. So that's what I've got. And Becca's book is Massillon Against the World.
Massillon Against the World, that we had on BookFest and did well. And, we didn't win this season, so no book. There was no follow-up book. But I'm okay with that. No, it was such a pleasure. And, I've gotten to meet great authors through the BookFest and listening to them. So I really enjoyed being able to host this and hear it. And I like to go back and watch. So I hope everybody goes back and watches. And, thanks for letting us come on, James.